Thanks for checking out this horror film review from the Skeleton Crew Horror Podcast. You could find our full archive of every unedited show at horrorphilia.com. Also subscribe to the Skeleton Crew on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy the review.
Welcome to the Skeleton Crew's A Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective. It's time to relive the nightmares with your hosts, Jamie Jenkins, Dave Z, Michael J, and Alex Edwards. Get ready for an in-depth look into the movies that haunted your dreams since 1984. So put down that coffee and toss that bottle of Hypnosil. If you think you'll get out of this retrospective alive, you must be dreaming.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is the Skeleton Crew, and we are back. This is our Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective, where we go through every single Nightmare on Elm Street movie for June and July this summer. That's what we're doing this summer, guys. So, this is Alex, and something's trying to get inside my body, and I'm here trying to get some sleep with Jamie Jenkins. What's up, Jamie?
Screw sleep!
Yes, sleep will kill you. Now it's time to sit down with my main man, Dave Z. What's up, Dave?
Well, fuck you, Will! Fuck you! You sit down!
Okay. Alright, I'll sit down, sure. And last but not least, it's slumber party time with Michael J.
How's this for a wet dream?
Well, those are the only ones I remember, Mike. So we're excited here, guys. It is the 8 weeks of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I said, for all of June and July, we are going to release one show a week for 8 straight weeks for 8 movies. Alright, I got my Hypnosil. I am ready to go. And for anyone who is listening to this just for this retrospective and you're not a regular of the Skeleton Crew, if you like what you hear, go to horrorphilia.com. and check out our other retrospectives. We did full in-depth retrospectives for Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Psycho movies, Evil Dead, the Hatchet movies, the Jaws movies. We did a retrospective on the Scream movies. We did a Stephen King retrospective, a David Cronenberg retrospective, a Sleepaway Camp retrospective. So check those out if you like what you hear this time, guys. So we'll be right back.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Help me, please!
Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. Rated R.
Welcome to prime time, bitch. You are all my children now.
Alright guys, so we are talking about everybody leaves out the A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. This movie stars, I don't have them in front of me, but I think I remember all the names. Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, John Saxon as her dad.
Donald Thompson, Lieutenant.
Amanda Weiss is Tina?
Yep. Robert Englund. He played, who did he play again? Freddy, right?
Yeah, Fred.
Yeah, in that film he's Fred Krueger. Yeah.
Fred, okay. He played Fred in the movie. And, so that's all really to say. What do you guys think of this movie overall? This is a groundbreaking film. Freddy Krueger is probably the most creative and interesting slasher, I guess you could say, of all, I think. It's what a fascinating concept to come up with, that a guy, you're safe, figuratively, forever, until you go to sleep when you're completely helpless. And at that time, you have what we all can relate to, nightmares. If you have the wrong nightmare, you might not wake up. I don't know how he decides he's going to kill you at that particular dream or whatever, but he kills you in your dream, and it manifests physically on your body. So if he cuts your throat with his razor blade fingers, your throat gets opened up in real life and you die. So that is amazing. I mean, you can't do anything about it. The cops can't help you. Your boyfriend can't help you. Your little brother can't help you. Everyone's the final girl here. You know? I mean, think about it. You're the final. There's nothing to be done. So what do you guys think of that concept? Is that an amazing concept to you?
I will say it's fucking great. It's a great concept. It's a scary concept. Just on paper, it's a scary thought. Everybody has to fall asleep. Everybody does dream. And you're helpless. So, yeah, it's a great idea. And as far as execution, I think the execution is great, too. I think this movie is chock full of classic scenes in the horror genre.
Right. They brought the idea to life the right way, you think?
I mean, look, it's the first horror movie that I ever saw. I can remember I was like 5 years old, and I was sleeping over my cousins for the night, and they went to West Coast, I think it was, and they rented a movie, and I was like, So, of course, being young me, I'm like, okay, we could check this out. It should be interesting. The next thing you know, I was like immersed in this whole horror world, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And, from there I went, I didn't sleep for a week after I saw the movie.
So it really worked. The way Jaws made you afraid to go in the water, Freddy really made you afraid. Now, how old were you when you were afraid to fall asleep?
Well, you figure I probably saw it in probably 85. Whenever it first came out on VHS is when we rented it and I saw it. So I would guess around 85, probably somewhere in there.
Wow.
And then I went and I got the Freddy pajamas and all that stuff.
Freddy pajamas.
Yeah.
That's a fucking oxymoron right there. Wow.
Yeah, right? That's like the weirdest thing to do.
Yeah, they had
I'm gonna get the Jaws raft.
Well, no, the Freddy pajamas, they were great. It was like a shirt that had the red and green stripes down the arms.
Oh my god.
And it had the Freddy silhouette on it, and it said A Nightmare on Elm Street on the shirt, and the pants were like red.
Wow, I had a lot of fun wearing my Psycho shower cap. That was incredible.
Yes.
In my Friday the 13th tent.
Yes. Didn't it say Friday the 13th on it? And it was like a nice butcher knife and the hockey mask was on there. And
yeah, fake blood painted on. Everything.
Nice. Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Freddy is such a dark, or should I say Fred Krueger is such a dark character, and he's a little bit of a wisecracker. He has a sense of humor. He holds his fingers up, he chops them off, and green shit spews out of him.
Yeah, that was great. Like, Tina, watch this.
See, that's just scary.
Yeah, but he knew. Let's just talk about Freddy as we're doing each movie, though, because we all know what eventually takes place. Let's try to just keep it here for now. He has a dark sense of humor still. Or to begin with, the iconic scene where when his arms expand across the entire alleyway and scratches the two fences. That's it doesn't look exactly how I think they wanted it to, but it still works,
I guess, but I honestly think that looks better and more freaky from a dream perspective. Like, if you're having a dream and that would happen, I would expect it to look a little fucked up that way, more so than if they did that scene nowadays and then just
perfect.
added, like CGI, like just expanded his arm like he was fucking Stretch Armstrong. I think it works for that reason.
Yeah, definitely. You got these characters. Nancy, her friend Tina, Nancy's boyfriend. I forgot to say, Johnny Depp was in this movie. He's
Johnny Depp.
Introducing Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I'm reading it wrong. I'm sorry, Johnny Depp. I put 2 E's instead of 2 P's.
Aha.
So, deep.
So, was this a porno? They should make a porno parody where the guy bangs you while you're sleeping.
Or where he bangs your pussy with the razors and he cuts your pussy up.
I think they did that, Mike.
I think
Didn't we talk about this on the porno show? Alex found something online and it was a Nightmare on Elm Street porno parody.
Look it up, Alex.
Yeah.
You have the resources.
Well, that'd be cool if you woke up with a puddle on your stomach.
Yes.
To start off, we talk about funny things that make us laugh. We're not making fun of the movies or ripping on them. They're just funny, and they're worth having a good time over. I guess Tina is having nightmares, so she asks her friends to come over, Nancy and Johnny Depp. They come over the house to sleep over. They do, and then this boyfriend of Tina's comes over, and he jumps from behind and grabs the guy, and then all of a sudden they start bickering. A guy pulls a knife out, and I didn't know what was more ridiculous. The fact that I feel like I'm watching West Side Story, or that Nancy, the way she grabs the knife out of his hand and just looks at him while she undoes it, makes it go back down and hands it back to him. I'm like, oh my god, this is so corny.
Yeah, but
it was
what
a switchblade knife? It was one of those things that you press the button?
I think so, yeah.
That's the 80s, man. I think
but
I
then
had
he
one
had
of
the
those.
other thing. The three-pronged thing that he used to, scrape around or whatever, too.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. But don't you guys think the beginning is fucking great with Tina's first dream and Freddy making his glove while he's still a human and the atmosphere of it, and then when the music comes in,
yeah.
This movie just has there's so many things going on in this movie that are just such excellent touches that you don't even see as the series progresses. To me, they did everything right here with the music and the presentation.
I forgot to say, the opening scene is Freddy building his glove.
Yeah, it's cool.
As a normal guy before he was set on fire.
It's creepy.
That was great.
But it was cool. I mean, and Tina, honestly, you're watching this movie, don't you guys think that that this movie is going to be about her?
Yep.
Not Nancy?
I thought that.
That's what's so cool about it, because Nancy comes later, the next night.
So they pulled the psycho switch.
Yeah, the bait and switch.
They did,
Son of
I
a
think.
bitch.
Right, wow. Everyone's doing that.
All the greats did it. Think about it.
What about the goat running down the hallway? What was that all about?
I don't know. What is with the goat?
Mike, is a goat like a devil symbol or something?
Yeah, it's it's pagan or something, isn't it?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Freddy's a pagan.
He's a biker?
He could be a group of the Fred heads, the pagan.
He's the pagans. He's in the pagans.
Yeah.
She wakes up and she rips her clothes from that dream.
You see Freddy's claw in the front of her, nightgown, the slash. But I don't understand, because when later on in the movie Freddy is slashing up the bed and the pillows and the feathers are going everywhere, and then when the dream is over, that stuff doesn't stay slashed up. So why would her nightgown stay slashed up? And
Yeah.
But
What, a feather?
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Yes, you do see a feather.
Yeah, but that's a big fucking deal.
But the feather is to show that it actually did happen.
Okay, Mike, what about when Fred, when he smashes the fucking door, when he breaks through fucking her door in that same dream with the feathers, and then he also breaks the fucking window to the front door of the house.
Well,
and then they wake up and that stuff's intact. That doesn't make sense.
Dave, that's a continuity error, because what should have happened is when the feather blew in the wind, okay, a shard of glass should have been floating right next to it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and a piece of wood from the door that just...
Exactly.
Yeah.
This movie it's definitely, there are some flaws in the movie. Yes. Ultimately, to me, it doesn't take away from it. But yeah, there's some flaws, and you're right, Alex.
They're just funny, like we always do reviews. The flaws are just funny shit, and it's worth having a good time over. That's all. Like I said, it's not about It's not about ripping, because anybody could do anything. We could rip anything apart if we really wanted to.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to something great. Right after she wakes up from that dream, and right before they go to school, you get that iconic fucking shit with the jump roping and the girls. 1, 2. It is so fucking creepy and so cool. And then they pan over to the kids walking to school, and then you start hearing the piano music. And that piano music.
Oh, the music in this movie is iconic.
Oh, it's great. And it's not just doom, 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 doom.
But here's the thing. That's all I could think about. I don't know what the rest is, except for the 1-2 phrase. Like, I can't seem to remember any of the music in this movie besides... besides that, what other music is there that's iconic that we can remember?
It's all very derivative of
bunch.
that. There's a bunch of piano stuff. It's great, though. And it's throughout the film. And that's one of the strong points of this film. People don't really talk about it, but soundtrack-wise, score-wise, this is definitely the best of the series. They really...
Why is that? Don't they build on it in subsequent movies?
No.
I don't know. It doesn't have that same type of vibe.
They
don't
shit
use
on it.
Really?
Way. They do it a little bit. I mean, they call back to what I know in 3, and I just mean the main theme. But they don't do what they do in this movie, where it's really good throughout. Almost like Carpenter's Halloween, how there's the main theme, and then there's the Shape Stalks theme, and this and that and the other. Kids walking.
Laurie's theme.
Right. They have. That's what they do in this movie. And nobody really talks about Nightmare on Elm Street when they talk about great scores to movies, and it's something that I think is really overlooked.
I agree. It's always been one of my favorite scores. And I was thinking the exact same thing when I was watching these in preparation for this, that no one ever really talks about these scores, but particularly the first film really deserves it. And especially since it is as iconic as it is, it kind of surprises me that it doesn't get more attention.
Right.
Because the music itself is iconic. I mean, you hear those notes, it immediately conjures an image in your mind. And
it's perfect for nightmares too, really.
It is.
Yep.
It's really weird how that worked out. It's really marrying music and imagery through one's mind. Like, I think the way they make music is they get done with the movie and they hand it to the music guys, and then they get inspired from what they're watching. That's how they design their music, I think. I mean, I'm sure they do have, let's make a bunch of horror music and then see, this would be good for this movie. I'm sure that takes place.
That takes place when people don't give as much of a damn about their film. But if you want to do it right, then yeah, you complete your movie, then you hand it to the composer, and they'll sight score it. Really the best way to do it.
Right. The only thing that was not perfect in this movie is the cast. They look good together, but their acting skills were not really that...
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been leading a movie.
Oh, goodness.
It is really below all of the big movies. It's below Halloween. Friday has bad acting from Annie and stuff like that, but for the most part, everybody was pretty solid. Texas Chainsaw, all those actors were pretty good, actually. So for the origin movies, this has to be the worst bunch of actors I've ever seen. Did anybody agree on that, or?
Yes, I agree on that. I mean, the whole time, 2 in particular stand out to me. One of them being the leading character. As much as I appreciate Heather Langenkamp, she is not a strong actress.
No, and she got better in part 3.
And
no, she didn't.
Cannot keep her mouth closed. Like, close your mouth.
What?
Maybe she was on dope.
Constantly hanging open, and it annoys me. And the whole time we were watching this, Brian's like, "Shut your fucking mouth! Shut your fucking mouth!"
Shit, I never noticed that. Now when I watch it,
her mother, whom I know is
the worst
seasoned actress at the time, is just. It's like, I don't know. Does she have a side job doing phone porn? Because she's like, you need to get some sleep, Nancy.
Oh, God.
I'm like, stop it. Like, I know you're supposed to be a drunk, but what is that?
Yeah, I guess she was supposed to be doing the drunkard thing, but maybe she was a pill popper, so she just cut
out, baby.
Maybe she crushed the pills up and snorted them before she did her performance.
Yeah, but doesn't that make you talk a real lot when you take a lot of Percocet and you can't shut the fuck up, right?
Well, from my experience, you can't shut the fuck up.
That's what I thought.
Normally, the editor would be in the room for hours trying to make your performance look tolerable, and that's why people think you're good. But I guess this lady was not so lucky. Mike, who do you think is the worst actor between? You got the mom, you got Nancy, and you got the greaser boyfriend from West Side Story. Who? And Tina wasn't really good either, really.
Couldn't even see the fucker.
Well, no, Tina actually did a good job because,
I like Tina.
when she got sliced, it's like she was like, and she's spinning all around. Like, that was brilliant acting.
I don't think her spinning around counts as like acting.
No, that doesn't. But when she makes that gurgle noise,
that doesn't illustrate acting prowess.
Right. But when she makes that gurgle noise, like as she gets sliced,
That could have been ADR.
Oh my God, Mike, you're not putting a good argument. One of them you're talking about she's able to be hooked up to a rope and spun, and then the other one she gargles, which might not be her.
I mean, that's great. And then Nancy, though, like I'm telling you, she just had this expression on her face, like
put a costume now.
We're not complaining about that part.
Maybe that's it. Maybe she was sucking Depp's cock the whole movie.
That would, you know what? That would have been a great bonus feature.
Maybe he really was Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Just have him walking around set, and her is like following around him because her mouth is like affixed to his crotch.
She would have been a good human centipede, actually.
Yes.
Her mouth is already open, and all you have to do is sew it to his asshole.
Now, that being said, there were things about her that I do like. And I really like her later on in the series. But it just wasn't. She was also young at the time.
Yeah, she was 20.
Well, that's true.
She was 20.
It wasn't like actual high school age. I don't. Which is very funny because that scene in the movie towards the end where she goes, "Oh my God, I look 20 years old." It's like, well, there's a reason for that, honey.
No, you're right on target.
Why would she say 20? She's supposed to be playing, a 15 or a 17-year-old, what have you. Why would she say, God, I look 20 years old? Like, it's such a stretch. They should have said 30. That's just...
Well, that's true. Yeah. Like, because 20, at that age, even at that age, 20 isn't old.
No.
Yeah, that's weird.
A bad decision on the script writer to say 20.
Or it might have been a joke.
It's an inside joke. It has to be.
Because she actually was 20,
Oh.
Hey, Dave, would you say you look 40 years old?
I would say I don't look 40 years old. And I don't act it either, so I'm okay. I sure feel it, though.
I don't look 57 either.
Right.
And I don't look like a retard.
Well.
Then again. But hey, Jamie, if I have sunglasses on, I look cool.
That's right.
I look cool and smart.
Now, the acting isn't a strong point. I'll agree with you on that. It doesn't really distract me all that much, though.
Yeah, because you fall into the mode. So now that, Mike brought up the Tina kill and stuff like that, so let's get into that. So, everyone's sleeping over, the guy's banging her, and everyone's listening. And
how come they can fuck? Tina's allowed to fuck, but Nancy says, we're here for them. Okay, fine.
I know, that is such bullshit.
Why can they fuck?
Morality sucks.
Yeah, but still, if they're upstairs fucking, why can't they be downstairs fucking on the couch while they're doing their thing upstairs?
Yeah, that makes no sense at all. I mean, I was like, that's so dumb. And, I mean, she clearly just didn't want to, is the only thing.
Yeah, what's her issue with that girl?
She's a prude.
They're an item. Obviously they fuck.
But you know what? I never believe that anyway. It's never believable to me that they're a couple.
You're right.
Even when the point where he starts kissing her, like he's trying to make out with her, I actually kind of recoiled a little bit because... And I caught myself doing that because it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel believable. I was just like, oh, you guys aren't. I mean, they seem more to me like the guy-girl best friend in high school.
Right. It's more bad acting. It's just not believable. Really, she couldn't even sell you on that.
I agree.
I mean, it didn't sell me at all. Not even a little bit did I think that they were a couple.
I didn't recall, like in my youth when I saw this movie, I didn't recall them actually having the kissing going on, and then at the end when he says, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy, I always thought that he was being presumptuous, but now I watched it last night.
Freddie's being presumptuous.
And he kissed her, and when she goes into school, they run into school, and he gives her a kiss there. So, it's obvious right there, but for whatever reason, I guess anything else they do in the movie, doesn't really seem boyfriend-girlfriend type to me.
He's like, I'm your boyfriend now. Well, we just started talking. We're not really, like, exclusive. Oh, well, I thought you were. I mean, he's always over. Okay, well, I can't think of anything. Just come here.
Give me that tongue.
Was that your
wanna
Freddy
mention
impression?
Yeah, I guess so.
It sounded suspiciously like someone else.
Yes, it did. I was thinking it too.
Of course, that would also be a nightmare.
Oh!
I'm your boyfriend now.
I'm your boyfriend now, so I'm going to measure my cock with your arm, because I saw that in a porno.
And then instead of the tongue coming out of the phone, his cock would be coming out of the phone.
Well, actually, it could fit through one of those little holes in the mouthpiece.
Ah,
It is believable.
true. It's like a pin size.
Exactly.
Can I mention Johnny Depp before? There's something that's always bothered me about this movie.
Oh, here we go.
Is this, and I'm a fan of the movie. When Johnny Depp is playing that fucking cassette tape for his aunt, right? Because he wants to have the air noises.
Right.
Why wouldn't he have at least listened ahead to see when that ends, when to press pause or stop, what have you? And he's playing this fucking tape, and there's women screaming, drag racing, a fucking doorbell. Oh.
And why does no one in movies ever know where the fucking stop button is on their boombox? But when I was a teenager, there was a time when my best friend she was going to be spending the night at my house, but she wasn't supposed to be spending the night at my house. I was a bad influence. She wasn't allowed to spend the night at my house, so she was and really it was just because I lived kind of far away. And so we were telling her mom that we were all going to be staying at another friend's house who lived close by. So this was a last minute thing. We were standing outside. We'd gone to the movies and we were standing outside the movie theater, and we were talking. She decided to call her from the payphone outside the movie theater and tell her that we were already there and that we were going to be staying the night there. And then this car just revs up and starts squealing down the street, like right by the phone. And her mom was like, "What is that?" She started screaming at her. She's like, "You're lying to me." And she's like, "No, Mom, it's outside. I don't know what it is. Some kid's outside or something." And then she just got off the phone really quick. I was laughing my ass off.
Ah, it really worked.
Every time I see this scene, it reminds me of that.
And I've done things like that. I'm sure we all have, come up with scams to fool our parents and things similar to that. It just... Come on, man. You're gonna go through all that time to get the tape. You're not gonna have it set up exactly there and know exactly when it ends. All you gotta do is play an airport noise for fucking 10 seconds and it's over.
Right.
Really, though, I mean, do you think that, in real life, do you think that if your son called you and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be staying at Aunt So-and-so's, tonight," do you think you'd go, "Well, where's the airplane noise? They live by the airport. It doesn't sound like you're there. Where are you for real?" I just don't think in like the couple-minute conversation that it would take to tell them, "Hey, I'm at my cousin's house," would require a setup that elaborate.
Yeah.
But,
that's true. And they don't even ask to talk to her sister.
No, it does. I guess it was just funny or something, but
It's like, "Mom, I'm at the auto body place." And it's like, how come I don't hear...
right? That's pretty good. I like that.
That was good. And,
Well, Tina doesn't get so lucky. She
gets lucky, but then...
Yeah, she gets lucky. And then there's an iconic scene where she gets lifted up, blasted through the ceiling, or across the ceiling, blood everywhere. It's probably one of the greatest kills ever. Like, nobody expected anything like this, especially during the time that it took place. Now, you could imagine anything visually on screen, but at this time, it's just crazy, and they did it really well. I don't know how Freddy does this. I don't know how you run around in your dream. You're in that industrial area with him with the pipes and everything all the time. I don't understand why something he does to you at one point physically makes you move around, but what's the difference from other times? I just don't understand how this whole dream thing works. But clearly, the greatest part of that entire sequence was when she was spinning around and knocks her boyfriend into the corner, into the lamp.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Or that part of the scene.
Oh, I could rewind that 100 times, and it's funny every time. It is the most unnatural fall ever. It's everything about it is completely awkward.
Wow. I'm always so blown away by what's happening on the screen. I never think about the humor.
By how amazing an actress she is, by spinning around.
Yeah, that's it.
Just what's happening with her crawling up the wall and how fucking bloody it is. The only thing I always thought was ridiculous, but I understand why they did it, was him in the corner, staying in the corner just enough so he's in the shot, holding up his arm and going, Tina! 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 Like,
Tina!
How come all these movies have someone yelling Tina all the time?
That's funny because we talk about that all the time. Well, there's always a Tina.
Yeah, and you always say it 100 times.
Talking Tina.
Yeah. I'm talking Tina, and I'm dreaming right now.
It's interesting that you should bring up Alex, sorry, how the dream thing works or doesn't work or whatever. Because that's one of the issues that I have with this film. And I kind of give it a pass. I don't want to think about it that hard. But if you do try to apply too much logic, it falls apart.
Right.
Because there are things like when Johnny Depp
Deep.
gets pulled down into the bed and then like shot back up. He's basically physically pulled into the bed. I mean, that didn't happen in his dream. That happened in his life. He's pulled into the bed, liquefied, and shot back up, and his mother sees it happen.
And she sees it, and she's not sleeping.
Right, she's not sleeping. At the end when Nancy's mother gets sucked down into the bed after Freddy's on fire and jumps on top of her, and then they sort of sink down into the bed, she and her father are both watching that. Neither of them are dreaming. At the very end, of course, there's that just whole weird thing. I mean, I think that the concession here is that there are scenes that he wanted to have, like he wanted to have the Johnny Depp scene. So a death scene. So he just sort of made it happen and kind of figured with a scene like that, people aren't going to really care about the logic behind it because you're going to be so blown away by what you're watching. And I think that kind of is true. And I think it does kind of work. But if I sit down and really try to map out this stuff, it doesn't completely make sense. Brian's point is that's the beauty to him. That's the beauty of it is like, no, it doesn't really, but neither do dreams. So he gives it a pass.
Yeah, but that's not an answer.
And
you just can't say that because it still doesn't matter if dreams make sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, because in a lot of the scenes in the film, they're not dreaming. They're wide awake, and it should make sense. But yeah, I can't completely gather the rules every time. She pulls Freddy's hat out of the dream world. And then later on, he doesn't have his hat. So then, because my argument was going to be, okay, if she pulls his hat out, and then later on he has his hat, then why would it matter if she pulled him out and killed him? Because clearly it doesn't. What you do in the real world doesn't necessarily affect the dream world, But then later on, he didn't have his hat, except for one shot. He kind of jumped out at her, and he was wearing his hat. Immediately before that and immediately after it, he wasn't wearing it. So I think it was a mistake. I think he wasn't supposed to have it. They made that shot, and then they were like, oh, fuck, he's wearing his hat. But they just thought maybe no one would notice. Only I'm sitting there trying really hard to pay attention to see if he's wearing his hat or not, because it's gonna make my argument. And as it turns out, he didn't have his hat. So then I was like, okay, well, at least they did. That makes sense, but it was, he's just like, stop trying so hard, because I'm like all over the place, really trying to make things work. And if you try too hard to do it, the whole thing just kind of unravels, because it's not that sensical.
The Tina thing, the Tina death, yes. I mean, yeah, it's crazy that she's being dragged up the wall and everything else is going on. But we don't see what happens in her dream after she's cut. We see the intro to the dream, which is fucking amazing, by the way. When you see Freddy after the arm stretching and when he's chasing her, the way he runs and you hear that evil laugh, it's so fucking creepy. It's done. The whole sequence is done so well. And then when she does get killed, we're not seeing it from her dream world anymore. We're seeing it from the outer world.
What is he doing in the dream?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could be happening in the dream. And when Johnny Depp gets killed, so we don't see Johnny Depp's dream whatsoever. So how do we know that Johnny Depp's dream isn't him being sucked into the bed and then fucking having shit go on and then he's just throwing the shit up?
Well, it may be, except that the thing is that in real life he physically gets sucked into the bed, which cannot happen. I mean, it's not physically possible in the real world.
Because there's no hole in your bed, and there's nowhere to be pulled into.
If Freddy can cut you, okay, make a slice, 4 things at once, and cut your stomach in the dream, and then therefore it also happens in the real world, how is that any different from Freddy pulling you into fucking something in the dream, and therefore it happens in the real world?
Okay,
and then,
remember when Nancy went to sleep and she was going to try to pull Freddy back out with her, and there was the whole scene where he jumped on top of her and there was the flower trellis, and she woke up and she's wrestling with the flower trellis for a moment, and then when she actually wakes up, it's gone and she's in her real room.
Right.
So
yeah, you don't sleepwalk and end up everywhere you were in the dream.
You manifest what happens to you in your dream physically, like if you get cut or whatever. But just because in you're dreaming that he sucked you into your bed doesn't make it physically possible for him to suck you into your bed, because that is a real inanimate object. It's a real solid thing. And
okay, Dave, here's the example.
It's confusing, I know.
Exactly.
When in Freddy vs. Jason, when the girl was sitting there and she was getting stabbed, Catherine Isabel, all you saw was the blood gushing out of her while she's laying in the cornfield sleeping. That is exactly what should be happening to you, no matter what Freddy's doing to you.
I can buy that.
You don't follow suit. It's not a mirror. It's not a parallel world. You don't do what happens in the dream. It doesn't make any sense. That's the point. And if everybody's going to talk about Part 2 breaking the rules, Part 1 made no sense if you want to talk about that. That broke the rule already. What does the real world have to do with... The whole point is that he could get you in your dreams, not real life. You're physically okay in real life. Until he kills you, then that manifests. But not the whole physical duration of it.
And how about at the end with the mother in the waterbed? That always made sense to me. Number 1, because it looks so cool. But number 2, because Freddy was actually
It can't make sense because it looks cool.
Yeah, good argument. These are great arguments today.
No, I mean, I was okay with it because it looked awesome.
It makes sense because it looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way it looked, so it didn't bother me is what I should say. But secondly, Freddy is out into the real world, so his powers are still manifesting right there. So I could see that happening in that instance. Now, Freddy, what happens in Part 4?
Freddy is in the real world, so Freddy is in the real world, so the real world should be affecting Freddy. But that doesn't mean that the middle of her bed suddenly disappears and turns into this misty open elevator. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that is. I mean, it's just a hole that's all misty, and she kind of sinks into it. That is completely not happenable, which is not a word. But
it's the supernatural. So when you're messing with the supernatural, it's kind of hard to be. It's not black and white, you know.
But it should be when you're dealing with reality versus dream world.
I wish it was,
because that's how you can make the distinction, you know, of when anything is possible within the dream world. But then when you drag Freddy into reality, that's why he's fucked, because he doesn't have the same power in the real world that he has in the dream world.
That's the point of bringing him there.
That's why it's possible to kill him. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole reason that you would bring him here, is because now you can kill him. He's vulnerable.
But now his powers still come into the world, and people are sinking into elevators in their bed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
You're right. It doesn't make sense. I just try not to...
No, it won't bother me the next time I watch it. But since we're discussing it, it is kind of bizarre.
Right. I'm just trying to come up, as usual, with plausibility, you know, of maybe this is what's going on. Because that's what... I try to explain movies that I like away if I can. If people buy it, great. If they don't, they don't. But, you know.
You can always... Look, the common denominator argument is people say, well, like Brian said, well, dreams don't make sense. Or, well, it's a supernatural. You know, you could just say that.
Or I could just say, hey, it does look cool, and it doesn't really bother me, so I don't care that much. But, you know, I mean, you know, that's how we roll here, though. I mean, when we're doing a retro, we're going to pick a movie apart. Does it really bother me that much? fuck no.
Right, of course, I don't care. But it's interesting that these things don't make any sense, and it's great to make you think and wonder. So that's actually cool.
Right. It's like what we just said before about, the pillow not being ripped, but her shirt was ripped. That doesn't make any sense.
Why would the shirt stay ripped? And plus, if the shirt was ripped, why isn't she cut open? Because his gloves, they just went through that and they didn't touch her skin at all? That doesn't make any sense. I don't even know. And he couldn't have got it from the inside because he couldn't go... It's just, I don't know. I don't know how anything is going on in this movie. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, they could have simplified it. You're right, they could have. But those scenes were so fucking badass that...
Yeah, but write other scenes that are badass. Write scenes that make sense that are badass.
That would have been better.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt my enjoyment of the movie, I guess, at the end of the day. We'll get to it then. What about Nancy and the crucifix? Again with the crucifix.
Oh, what about Freddy coming out of the wall?
Right. Awesome. What an incredible fucking scene that is.
That's iconic, man.
It is. This movie's full of iconic scenes, and that's just another one. So cool. But even before, remember when I said, would you ever be that scared of that type of dream, that you would actually grab a crucifix? And probably the answer is no. But how about this situation? The crucifix, once again, hops off the wall. Nancy just fucking holds it in her hand and just fucking plays it off. I don't think I would just play that
Why
off.
the religious tone? What does Freddy have to do with...
Because crucifix rhymes with six.
Six?
No, I mean, I'm sure that there was more to all the religious imagery, or not all the religious imagery, but the iconography with the crucifix. I don't know exactly why his motivation was.
Yeah, what are we going for with this? But
Well, he's evil, and basically a crucifix is supposed to stop all evil. It's just basic, 5-6, grab your crucifix. Because obviously he's someone that's killing you in your dreams, so he's evil, so hey, you may as well have a crucifix. Maybe that'll help you.
Yeah, and by his motivation, I meant Craven, in case that wasn't clear. I will say this about the wall scene, about the latex wall scene, is that I have given one of the arguments I've given toward the remake using CGI. And I don't agree with them using CGI. Do not mistake me. I really wish they hadn't done that.
Right.
But I said, well, maybe they wanted to give more detail. Because if you watch the remake scene when he comes through the wall, there's a lot of detail in the face and all of that. Maybe that's... But then if you watch this film, there's a lot of detail coming through that latex. You can see all of his features. So that argument just flies out the window.
right, especially on Blu-ray, you can see everything.
It's awesome.
Right.
What about so how about the news showing Tina's body and then the arm is just dangling? That would never ever be on the news.
Now, we make fun of stuff like that all the time in movies because in newspaper articles and news programs, they show stuff in pictures that you would never, ever, ever see being given to the public in real life.
Exactly. And how about Nancy jumping in front of her dad who's about to pull the trigger?
Oh, yeah.
On some dirtbag. Yeah. Why would you ever do something that stupid?
She was convinced Rod didn't do it.
Who cares? Talk about dumb kids, man. God, are you dumb at 16 or whatever she was supposed to be?
Yeah. How about when he gets arrested and he goes, I'm cool, and his mouth doesn't even move. Did you notice that? I noticed it last night. And then the other cop goes, oh, he's got a switchblade here. Oh, it's great. It's just stuff that was added in post that's funny.
Oh, yeah. Then and Nancy's acting at that whole part. The whole part is just, the worst acting is the exchange between her and her mother in the kitchen later on. That is just out of a high school play. The two of them.
Should I get good and loaded? That part?
Yeah. Ugh.
The scene where she grabs the bottle and says, screw sleep, and throws it down.
Sleep. Yeah.
Talk about unnatural, man. It's
Fred Krueger, Mom. You see, Fred Krueger. He's after me now.
Yeah, I love how Fred Krueger writes his fucking name in his hat in case he misplaces it or something.
How about, and not even just
Wait,
that.
which one of these fedoras are mine? Hold on, I'm gonna flip them over. I wrote my name. I thought about this ahead of time.
I'll go a step further. Glenn's name is fucking on his headphones that fucking she finds later on in the movie.
So stupid.
I don't know which is worse. The guy puts a name on his own fucking hat, or Glenn, his headphones that are in his house, in his fucking stereo that only he uses. He felt the need to take one of those fucking things and put his name on it. These are Glenn's.
Yeah, but did you ever see the Simpson episode where Bart gets a label maker and he just
goes crazy?
He puts on I think that's, that could be completely understandable. I could see just labeling everything, all your shit.
One thing that I thought that is a sticking point to me is when Nancy's like, it's my dreams that he comes into, when she's talking, I think it's when she's talking to Glenn, and she's asking him, which, by the way, Glenn is fucking useless. Can I just tell you, 2 times he fails her when she asks him to stay awake and help her, and he is just useless. But anyway, and she says, it's my dreams that he comes out. Well, no, it's everyone who dreams about him has the same opportunity. That what makes her so special.
Well, he doesn't admit to it, that's why.
Well, I know, but...
Yeah, but the other 2 people died because of it.
Yeah, so, I mean, if Tina had known what was going on, she could have done the same thing, theoretically. She could grab him and pull him out into the real world had she known about it and known what to do. But Nancy makes a point of saying, it's my dream. Well, you're not any different from anybody else except that your mother just happens to have the claw in her basement.
Yeah, let's just leave that in her basement for 15 years.
Right.
And I like how Freddy waits 15 years before he starts killing all these kids in the dreams. Like it's always that question, like we did with Michael Myers. Like, why did he wait? Oh, he waited 15 years too.
Yeah, you wait. Jason waited.
They all wait to like a point, and then they just go, and it never ends.
They need to gain enough power to do things. Apparently, that's what they got to do. They bide their time. Speaking of someone thinking they're special, and this is funny too. I always thought this line was funny. Later on, when she's on the phone with Glenn, he's across the street, and he's like, "If something happens, you're gonna be next." And he says, "Why would anybody want to kill me?" Like, who the fuck are you?
Why would anybody kill me? I'm gonna be Willy Wonka one day.
He only killed Tina, this person, that person, but he thinks, like they did something wrong. Why would anybody want to kill me?
Yeah, and he's talking to his girlfriend at the time. So what makes you think that your girlfriend deserves to die more than you do? What exactly... why would anybody want to kill... Well, why would anybody want to kill her? Why would anybody want to kill him?
Can you imagine if he goes, look, I could see, but why would they want to kill me?
What an asshole. Why would anyone
And what about this? Talk about, like, people, what they think of each other. What the fuck is with Nancy going to school the next day after her fucking friend was just butchered in a house that she was sleeping in? Like, what is wrong with these people? They just go to school the next day like... Okay, well, so what's my English homework? Like, are you serious, dude? These are your best friends, and you're just going about life like nothing you're not even crying on the way to... Like, nothing. There's no reaction to this.
Yeah, that's true. And even her parents are like, you have no business going to school. And both of them tell her, stay home. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I have to go to school or I'll go crazy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Really? That's... But yeah, she's not upset. I mean, I would be a fucking mess.
Yeah, basket case. If your your friend, that's just insane, dude.
I'll tell you what, no parent would ever have to fucking tell me twice not to go to school.
Right? I'd be like, dude, I actually, look, I'm going to admit something. This is pretty low of me. There was a fire across the street from my house when I was about 13 years old. And 2 kids died. They were like 5 years old, and one was 7 years old, or 8 years old, or something like that. And I knew the one kid. And, because, it was a pretty small neighborhood. Everybody knew each other. And the kid came out and played with his stuff. And I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? And then he would, throw the ball to me and stuff. And then this kid dies, and his sister dies, because the dad fell asleep with a cigarette in his hand because he was drunk, and the whole house went up in flames. The next day to school, I went to school. And everybody was asking me about it because I live across the street from it. So I was like a mini celebrity, but I know, what are you going to say? I think somebody said, why are you here or something? And I'm such a loser at that age that the next day I said, you know what? I don't think I can go to school because I'm so upset about this. And I used that to not go to school for the next 2 days.
Well,
which I think is, honestly... That's a normal kid thing to do, which just makes it glaringly obvious that what she did is completely abnormal because it actually did affect her, and she was there at the time.
Right. Like, I knew the kid, but it didn't affect me exactly.
Right. Well, they could have waited 3 days and said 3 days passed and she went back to school, but because they wanted to do that very effective fucking scene when she was in school, and then she eventually finds out when she burns herself on the boiler that there's more to this than she initially thought. So, I guess they just had to write it in somehow, but it is kind of ridiculous.
Oh, it's crazy.
Who would go? But how about that scene? I think that's another amazing scene with the fucking when she's in the class and she falls asleep,
flips the fuck out.
Right, and then when that dude's talking, it's always been really creepy to me. Like he starts whispering. That's fucking kind of scary. And then the dream she has when she goes out and she sees the body bag. Nancy, that's fucked up, man. And then it's a bloody body bag and the whole thing with "Where's your pass?"
Screw your pass.
Screw your pass.
Yeah, which is funny. Brian just told me, I didn't know this until yesterday when we watched this, but apparently the guy who reads in class, the guy that that you were just talking about, and the hall pass girl go to conventions now.
What?
And I'm like, who even who even remembers them? Obviously you know what parts I'm talking about when I bring them up, but would you stand in line to talk to these people at a convention?
Jamie, the zombie with the machete through his head goes to conventions.
Right.
Well, at least he's like on posters and stuff.
Right, I agree.
The
He's
boombox boy from Halloween 2 goes to conventions.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And the reason he feels he's vindicated in doing this is because he's Dick Warlock's son.
Oh.
Okay. So what does that mean? Well, if it wasn't for me, Halloween 2 would have never happened because Michael wouldn't know to go to the hospital. Oh, right. Okay, that's the script, right? What's that have to do with you?
That is ridiculous. But who knows what they're getting paid? I mean, even if they work a regular job and they go to the weekend thing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and let's say they make fucking
pick up a few bucks, yeah.
$300-400, it's better than doing real work. I mean, I would do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I'm just like, and who are you? Oh, will you sign my poster, girl that asked her where her hall pass was?
Yeah, $20.
What?
If you looked at the autograph when you got home, you probably wouldn't fucking remember who signed this.
I know, she has to put in parentheses like hall pass girl.
Yeah, she probably fucking you do realize that in all the shit she autographs that she writes hi Jamie, where's your pass?
Right.
Unfucking believable.
Has to
she has to, of course she does. What the fuck? Is there any other line?
You know what she looks like?
Ricky Lake.
Ricky Lake, yes. I always thought that chick looked like a Ricky Lake.
Yeah, she looks like a skinny Ricky Lake.
Yeah, definitely.
How about in that dream with Tina and all that stuff? She's like, Freddy's, standing there. She's like, "Who are you?" And he lifts up his shirt and he slits it and maggots come out. She's like,
awesome.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
But it's awesome. That's what I'm saying. He was so scary back then without having to say anything. Just the things he was doing was so creepy.
Yeah, but that was his answer, though.
He doesn't need an answer. Fuck you. My answer is, I'm evil. I can cut myself and fucking yellow pus and maggots come out. You're asking me who the fuck I am? I'm beyond what you can comprehend. That's what he's saying.
Shit, look at Dave about to drop the mic.
Yeah, man.
She's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Look, I'm the guy with maggots in it." Oh, maggot stomach. Okay.
Yeah, fuck you, dude. How about the flick of the tongue? The only thing that makes him seem where anyone could say he was a pedophile. Just because he does that fucking tongue flick thing at Nancy.
Oh, when he grabs his ear and flicks his tongue? Oh, no, that's Friday Part 5. With the
No. When he's chasing her and he does that. You know what I'm talking about? And fucking... Because you only do that to somebody that's like a sexual gesture.
That's not a child molester, though. She's old enough to bang.
In real life, yeah, but...
Even 16. What's wrong with that?
Whatever the fuck old she was.
Oh, wait, we're recording this?
And Tina was hot. But Tina was 24, though. Amanda Wiss, so whatever the fuck her name is.
I got a question, though. When, that scene when Nancy was walking to school and the boyfriend, grabs her and he's trying to convince her that he didn't really kill Tina. Did you believe him?
Well, of course. We know the movie.
I believed him because I know the movie.
Oh, right.
Would I have believed him if I were her? I don't know. I mean, what... Who else would it have been? I mean, honestly, right. if you were in that house and you heard her screaming and then you went in there and he's all covered in blood and there's blood all over the place and he's the only person...
Yeah, who else could have been? Yeah, she believed him, though.
Would you? Oh, I guess when they went in there, he was already out the window. He was gone out the window. And that's another thing, too. He took off out the window. So, of course, that makes him look guilty.
Yep.
And they do that in Part 2 also.
and he's yelling. He's like, "I'll kill you!" And you hear that, you're like, "Wow, doesn't that sound a little suspicious?" You know. Next thing you know, he's jumping out the fucking window. I mean, that's two things that most people would say it was.
He's guilty.
Evidence of guilt. And how about later on, after he's locked up and the guy's convinced, John Saxon, the father, he's convinced that this guy did it. He's calling him a lunatic, this and that. He's got him locked up in the cell. And Nancy goes there later and says something about it. And she goes like, "Oh, yeah, what are you doing here?" And he says, "There's an unsolved murder. I don't like unsolved murders, especially involving my daughter." How the fuck is it an unsolved murder? He arrested the guy he's convinced is the guy rotting in the fucking jail cell of the place that he runs, and he's saying it's an unsolved murder. Well, if it's unsolved, why is that guy locked up? What the fuck is that?
It's like, are you speaking for us or yourself? And because your headspace and your point of view should not be unsolved.
And how about the guy climbing into the room? I mean, if you're a father, well, I'm a father of a daughter. There's no fucking way I make it in any way, shape, or form it accessible for the fucking rosebush thing to lead right up to a thing where any asshole in the middle of the night can climb into my fucking young daughter's room.
Right.
What? And he's a cop. You don't think he would know better than that?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The next big sequence is the bathtub sequence. Iconic imagery, once again. You know, it's the show's poster. It's interesting because, again, it's one of those things where it's a weird fine line between dream and reality, because it's like when Nancy's mom knocks on the door and says, you know, what are you doing? And the glove is between her legs and it's coming up. It's almost like it comes back down in reality in the water, and you hear the water splash. Like Freddy's dream, literally, the dream matches reality, because when he goes and kills people in his dreams, they're always in that, like I said, the industrial area usually and stuff like that. But here, it's taking place where she actually is, which would feed into your argument, Dave, that Johnny Depp was killed in his bed. So Freddy, the world was completely parallel here. The only difference is that when Freddy's manipulating things and it is in the dream, it's a bottomless bathtub, and in reality, it obviously has a bottom to it.
No, it's confusing, but god damn, how fucking awesome is that scene?
Oh, it's great.
That's what it comes down to. I guess that's why I don't pick that apart. There's some things that I do pick apart, but that, once again, it's an iconic scene. This movie's just chock full of them. Mm-hmm. You know?
Oh, Freddy's look is iconic. The music is iconic. The glove is iconic. The scenes, the coming through the wall, the bathtub, the arms stretched out, the kill of Johnny Depp, the kill of the girl on the ceiling, the body bag in the hallway.
Oh, all of it.
It's so iconic, and that's why this movie stands the test of time. It's always beautiful to look at. It's always it's what we're into as a horror fan.
What about when she's watching The Evil Dead? Has anybody noticed that that's like it's the wrong part of the movie?
Yeah.
Like, it's the part when she yells, "Turn it off!" in the beginning before anything happens, but at the same time, you hear a chainsaw. There's no chainsaw till the climax of that movie.
They always do that. Dude, even as recently as Scream. When Scream played Halloween, it was completely out of context. It was they always do that shit. And it's weird because they're nodding to people who are in the know, but they're giving us the wrong shit. And it's like, well, we know that too, though. You're kind of messing. Right.
I do love that you hear her go, "Turn it off," and then she turns off the TV. Yeah.
Ah, that's clever.
I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know that was even intentional, but I thought it was kind of funny.
It's clever if it was. I like that. Wow. I like that. No shit. But 1984, when this movie was made, there's no fucking way she's able to even watch that movie on TV. But once again,
yeah, right.
But I just thought it was fun.
What about Nancy's mom pulling vodka bottles out of every fucking possible place in the house?
I love that, but then she sees her standing in the hall drinking that bottle, like 10 feet from her bedroom door. She closes the bedroom door, and then a couple minutes later she's screaming because the phone ringing thing and all of that. And I'm like, where's your mom now? I mean, she was just there. But then, of course, later we go downstairs and she's practically passed out on the sofa. But apparently no one can hear anything in any of these houses because there's when Tina gets killed, Nancy does eventually wake up when she hears Tina screaming, but it takes her a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, why isn't Nancy hearing any of this? She's right in the next room over there. But I mean, eventually
they heard them
she does
fucking.
wake up. But goddamn.
Think about how loud they were fucking. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, dropping fucking loads.
They were yelling like fucking lunatics.
You know, really cool scene. Like, I'm really into the scenes where you observe Freddy from a distance and, like, you know, peering through a window and shit like that. That stuff is really what I'm into. I like it. I like the atmosphere to it. I like the music they play during that type of stuff. But the one really cool one is when she was observing Freddy go into her Tina's boyfriend's cell, and Freddy, like, she starts screaming, and Freddy just looks up and smiles at her and laughs. And that, because, you know, he knows, you know, your buddy's fucked. And it's weird because she's dreaming, I guess, at that point, and her dream is connected to this guy's dream because that's when he's getting killed by Freddy, and she's watching it happen.
Yeah, that's weird, too.
Yeah, it's so weird how that... Because he's really dying at that point, so it is happening. But if you're dreaming, you could watch it. Like, it's crazy.
That's like some Inception shit right there.
But it's not the first time it happens in that movie. Because earlier, when Tina's having her dream, that's when fucking Freddy comes through the wall and does that fucking cool effect with Nancy. So she's dreaming as well about Freddy.
Right. Yeah, he was in two places at once.
He's done it more than once. Why not?
It's a dream. He can do whatever.
He sure as fuck can. I mean, that's one good thing about the series is that he, you know, it's a dream. You can always fucking say that.
Well, that part I give passes to. I have no problem with that, actually, where she could watch his work to other people. But the thing is, she's looking at him sleeping for real, though.
Right.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's not like she's inside. He's not dreaming that he's sleeping. He's actually asleep.
Right. So what dream is she in? It doesn't make any...
She's in her own dream, but she's seeing what's happening with him. He even wakes up, though, remember? He wakes up and it stops, and then at first that thing starts to move, and then he wakes up and he's, like, startled for a second, and then fucking he goes back to sleep. But for a minute there, his dream actually ends, and that white sheet that eventually hangs him stops moving.
Yeah, but how come she wasn't dreaming about... Why wasn't she seeing what he was doing in his dream, as opposed to, like Jamie said, he wasn't dreaming that he was sleeping?
I don't know. He was in his own dream, seeing her own scary shit. Remember, she saw what's-her-name again in that dream. With the fucking Tina in the body bag again.
Right.
And
Yeah, with the thing in her mouth.
And the human centipede comes out of her mouth. And the snakes, those muddy snakes on the bottom. Oh, man. You know what? I've been meaning to ask you guys. That's 2 times in this movie, Nancy's dreaming and she sees Tina in a body bag. I have a feeling there's like a deleted scene where she actually sees Tina get zipped up in the body bag.
Yeah, because she doesn't see it.
No, but twice she has dreams about her being in the body bag. I think it's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah, why is she associating with Tina with a body bag as opposed to just like a dead person?
Why is the body bag clear? Like, have you ever seen... have you ever seen a transparent body bag?
That's right.
You know, I mean, typically when they put a body in a bag, the purpose is to hide it.
Yeah, right. You're not supposed to see the goddamn body. One could label this as cheesiness or not, or, you know, it's all perception. What do you guys think of the music they play every time Freddy's attacking somebody? It like really ramps up the scenes like every time. I think every time, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Is that it adds to it to me? I think.
I think so too. I really, but I mean, like we said earlier, talking about the score, I think that there's a lot to this score that people don't, because even when you say Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street music, you automatically, the first thing you think of is the don't, I can't do it. I keep wanting to do the Jeopardy theme or something. But anyway, you know, it's those notes, you know.
Yeah, we know what we're all talking about.
but there are a lot of other aspects to the score that don't immediately pop to mind. But
no one thinks of that Freddy music when he's chasing people. No one thinks, because we can't even imagine what it sounds like.
But when you watch the movie, it really fits and it really enhances everything.
Right. Yep.
It's great. It's great. What about the rod scene when he gets hung? What a great fucking scene. A great scene. The only problem is he gets hung awfully fucking fast.
And his face turns gray instantly.
It's like he has nothing to fight for. It's like he gets hung and 5 seconds later he's dead, because that's how long it takes for them to like break open the doors of the jail cell.
Right.
That's the only thing. I think it's an excellently done scene when you see that sheet moving around his neck and how he's pulled up. It's awesome. The only thing is they should have given those guys like an extra 30 seconds before they cracked open the jail cell. But whatever.
Exactly. So now, real quick, we didn't mention the house of Elm Street. Why that house? What is I guess it's just Nancy happens to be the lead of the movie, so that house isn't exactly like the Myers house, or it's not really that important. No, but it becomes important in part two. Yeah,
it's all about it.
So that's
part
weird.
Part 2 is like Amityville 2. It's like it may as well be a haunted house story.
Right. So that's kind of weird. And isn't it even more strange that we always associate that house with the red door, and in this the fucking iconic movie, it's blue. Like, how weird is that? It's almost like Jason with a sack on his head, and then we all know him with the hockey mask. It's like kind of strange. Part 3, they're in the hospital. In part 4, it's that drunken dad and his 2 kids. They're the main people, right? And then in part 5, I don't even know what happens in that movie.
I'm not as familiar with 5, but I always remember it being referenced one way or another, or somebody dreams about being in it.
Okay.
Good old 1428 Elm. Yeah.
All right, good. Well, speaking of like origin and starting points, Fred Krueger supposedly kills 20 kids in one neighborhood before he's caught. I cannot imagine that more than 3 kids would have been killed before there is an all-points bulletin to a suffocating degree that he would never be able to pull this off. Like, how do you get up to 20? Did he get them all on a bus and bring them to that place and molest them all and kill them?
That is a very good point.
That is impossible to imagine.
I was growing up in South Atlanta during the Atlanta child murders, the Wayne Williams debacle thing, and it was and he wasn't even targeting, little white girls, which is what I mean. That's not the kids that were getting killed were like little black boys, which I am the opposite of. But no one was wandering the streets. No one was not being watched. Everything was on lockdown. I can't imagine, and Atlanta, I mean, that's a bigger area. So I can't imagine that in this little tiny area, that many kids are going to go missing, and then somebody's going to go, wait a minute. I mean, seriously, a couple of kids something happens to, and that neighborhood's going to shut down.
Oh yeah, especially are we to presume this all takes place on Elm Street? Like 20 kids on one street? By the time 3 on one street disappear, like let's get into this. What is the point of Elm Street? What is the relevance here? And by the way, that word is never said in this movie ever. Elm Street.
You're right, it's not, but they don't really make that part of the folklore until part 3, when she says, "You're the last of the Elm Street children." That's something they came up when they came up with Dream Warriors. But according to that, they just said that it was the mother, if I'm correct, just says that they were neighborhood children, people that everybody knew. So I'm just thinking it was a neighborhood.
So why Elm Street is specifically targeted in Freddy's world?
Well, because that's just where Nancy happens to live here.
But why is Nancy the most important one?
I'll tell you why. Because it was her father and the mother that were responsible for bringing him down, and she kept the gloves and the shit in that house. So maybe that held some type of power, if you want to get supernatural about it, Because think about it, the father's a cop, so he had something.
So he had a big play in this. Yeah.
Right, he had a big play in it, and so did she. And that's probably why she was the one that kept the glove and everything. I feel that probably tore that family apart. That's why they divorced. That's why she became a drunk.
Maybe, I was gonna say maybe that's why she's a drunk.
Yeah, I just,
why would you be drunk? Why? You killed a guy who killed and molested 20 kids. You should be thrilled about that.
Some people can't deal with fucking vigilante justice after they've done it. Everyone deals with grief and shit like that differently, and maybe it tore their marriage apart. Maybe her husband, the cop, was always on the case in it because he was always busy and they were stressed out. That eventually led to trouble between him and his wife. They're worried about their own daughter. Oh no, she wasn't born yet. Things happen in marriages.
I know. I just love how much backstory you're giving this author.
I know, I'm a wannabe author, right?
Craven's probably like, I don't know. I didn't even. I just kind of figured, well, it was eat plot.
By the way, the real story was that he molested 20 kids.
He didn't say that.
But no, they changed it because there was an actual thing going on in California where a bunch of kids were getting molested or something like that. And they didn't want to look like they were glorifying and capitalizing.
Yeah, which ended up being bullshit. That whole thing was total bullshit.
Well, what do you mean? That's not true?
No, I mean, it's the story actually happened, but it turns out that those kids were full of shit. I mean, they made up a whole bunch of stuff. It was exposed a couple of years later, and it was just it was a mess. But yeah, I mean that they had originally. You're right. They originally wanted to make him a molester, and then decided it would be in poor taste, and opted not to. But
are you buying this? He got off because somebody signed the search warrant in the wrong place.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm a moron, but yeah, that's dumb.
They should have said that they just lost the search warrant.
No, not even lost it.
They never used one.
What they should have
said
was...
They never used one. Good call.
Exactly. They never got one. So, they didn't
it was an illegal search.
Channels. Exactly. Illegal search and seizure. Yeah.
Did Wes Craven write the script or no?
Yeah,
no,
he did. It said written and directed by.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the writing...
How would anyone sign in a warrant in the wrong place anyway? Like a judge has to sign a warrant. A judge knows where to fucking sign. It's not going to be like, I don't know where to sign. Oh, and then who gives a fuck if his signature is on it anywhere? It's going to hold.
Jamie, I figured it out. This is why. Because their name is Darnell, and they're like, I'm going to sign a search warrant.
There are 2 search warrants to every case of child molestation.
Dave's and Dono. Here's your search warrant.
Hey, when Nancy was in the closet and she took her shirt off, was anybody hoping she would turn around?
Yes.
Not me, man.
No.
Yes. Teenage Michael J. was, even though I saw this when I was 5 for the first time, Teenage Michael J. thought she would. Was hoping she would.
Ugh, not me. Dave, is she hot? I don't think so.
No, I was never into her. A lot of people seem to like her. I was always a Tina guy myself.
Actually, you do see side.
Oh, yes, you
do.
Into the tub.
Yeah, you do. Is it really her, or is it fucking body double? I noticed it last night, Alex.
I paused it several times.
I saw a nipple.
I stretched that VHS tape several times at that scene.
I watched it last night, and I noticed it for the first time last night. I was like, oh, look at this. We do see a side
Yes,
boob.
you do.
No, you don't. You want to know why?
It is nipple. Yes.
You want to know why?
Are you saying it's a body double?
Yes, it was.
That's what I'm saying. It probably is. Right, yeah.
But it's still side boob.
Yeah, it is boob, nonetheless.
I was going to say, I think it's a body double.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not Nancy boob, so I'll look at those then.
Yeah, they're nice and small and perky. Let's bring it.
A lot of okay, how about, would you rather fuck Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween or Nancy in this movie?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Really? I'll take Nancy.
Nancy.
I'll take Nancy. I don't like Jamie in Halloween.
Jamie Lee Curtis looked mannish. And
I agree.
I know, but the other one's too bushy.
I don't give a fuck. You have to do one of them.
And she looks like she has brown moles all over her.
Yeah, and I'll tell you. Yeah, Langenkamp has jungle bush. Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy has bush.
Yes.
We've got bush.
Unkempt hair,
bush.
unkempt...
Kempt? Okay, how about this? Nancy or Alice from Friday Part 1? See, none of these girls are hot. Did you notice that none of these girls are hot?
Yeah.
I think Alice is cute.
Alice, and I'd have her say Beale as,
Beale? I guess I would choose Alice reluctantly. I would have to take one of them. It would be Alice.
See, reluctantly. So
yes, reluctantly.
Now, how about the blonde from Texas Chainsaw? She was the hottest one of all four of these girls.
Marilyn Burns? Yeah, I would take.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I prefer.
The other one.
Yeah. Definitely, with those short shorts.
Although, you want to talk about unattractive leading girls.
Part 2? Nightmare?
Part 2. Nightmare 2.
I knew it.
Ew.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. Oh, awful. The other girl should have been the lead. The fucking dark-haired girl that was her friend.
That girl looks like she needs to be playing someone's best friend.
Yes.
She is not the lead.
No, listen. She got that role because she looked like Meryl Streep. That's why.
That doesn't make her act like Meryl Streep.
No, but she looked it. That's all they cared about. It was a poor man's Meryl Streep, and they were poor.
It was a very poor man's Meryl Streep.
Yeah, it was a $2 million budget Meryl Streep.
You want to
but
fuck
even
Meryl
back
Streep?
then, I didn't think Meryl Streep would. I don't think Meryl Streep even got attractive until she got older.
I've never been
she
into
was
Meryl
young.
Streep.
I never thought she was attractive.
I don't think she is.
Same thing with Jessica Lange. I think she looks better now than she did when she was young, but that's another story.
Yeah. All right, we're getting off track. Okay, so how in the fuck did Freddie call Nancy and have his tongue come out of the phone when she was awake?
That's fucked up. But I came up with something. As I'm watching it last night, I was being critical about that whole scene.
What, the conversation was so boring that she nodded off and then...
No. She, because she had just admitted to Glenn shortly before that she had been awake going on 7 days, she may be just cracking up at this point.
Micro naps. There's where you get it from the remake.
It's insanity.
No, I hate the remake.
It's being up for a week. It's being up for a week. You're probably on the way to losing your mind. So that's how last night I was able to rationalize. This doesn't make sense, but I said, you know what? She's fucking flipped the fuck out. She may be that scared and imagining it.
Okay,
so
I'll buy it.
Right on.
All right, so Johnny Depp. We said that the thing in the bed, since we're wrapping it up here, we'll just go back to this for a second. The funniest thing was, and this is so true, they brought a stretcher to his house, and the guy goes, you don't need a stretcher, you need a fucking mop.
Yeah.
Wait. Like, that is classic. That is great writing.
Agreed.
Okay, now we're going to get to the part that is pure idiocy. The whole end of this whole wrap-up, it sounds like Stephen King wrote it, man. Okay.
Mother.
So Nancy gets on the phone, and and I know Jamie's going to go off about this. She tells her dad, I want you to wake me up 20 minutes from right now.
Right. Awful. It'll be 12:15.
Yeah, we're going to get the guy who did this. Mm-hmm. She proceeds to hang up. Go through her Kevin McAllister Home Alone, Home Alone for Dummies, and she rigs, I think, 4 to 5 booby traps that would have taken 20 minutes each.
Oh, easy.
Pending she had all the stuff sitting there and ready to go. Then this guy gets killed, sucked into the bed, I think. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I think I'm wrong.
No,
about
this
that.
was after
okay.
he gets
Well,
him.
something happens. There's some kind of sequence that happens even after that. I forgot what it was, though. Maybe...
What, the phone call with Glenn's father and all that shit?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. She calls Glenn's father, and he's like, sorry, Glenn's... No, because he was... No, that happened before.
Yeah, no, that was before. Yeah,
because he was dead already.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, he was dead already. My bad.
She goes downstairs and talks to her mother.
That she does, and then find out she's locked in.
Yeah, she tries to...
Wait, something doesn't
Or was
make
that
any
before?
sense. I know, this is weird. It has to
What
be...
are you forgetting about, Alex?
Lock.
Miss Nude America?
Because we're glossing over when they put the bars on the window.
Dude, that happened way before this.
Yeah, that did happen before that, yeah.
Okay, the day before, okay.
It was right after Rod's, she goes, I'm going to go get her some help. Then they go to the sleep place, and she flips the fuck out, pulls the hat out, and all that shit.
I like how he has a funeral, but Tina didn't have one.
Yeah, Tina didn't have one. But how about this? At Rod's funeral, don't you think it's kind of presumptuous and kind of an asshole thing to do if you're the priest, when you got all his loved ones and family there, to say those who live by the sword will die by the sword?
Yes.
You're pretty much condemning.
Bullshit.
Right, you're condemning this guy who was never proven fucking innocent, guilty, or anything. And this is his loved
he
ones.
was never even tried.
Right.
And he's all, well, you live by the sword. And I thought that too. And I was like, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to be an asshole? That's what happens to you. See you later, bitch. Okay, throw some dirt on this jerk off.
Like it's fucking Charles Manson's funeral or something, Straight condemning the bastard.
But again, I'm going to mention this. Your boyfriend just died. Why are you so okay?
Because she's in shock.
She's nuts, dude. She's been awake for a week straight.
Because it's bullshit that they were boyfriend-girlfriend anyway. I don't believe that for a second, like I said.
They were best friends. Not even friends with benefits.
Yeah, they were like
She was
each
a
other's
beard.
first kiss. That's what they were. But, Joe, check it out. Once again, in this script, it could have been fixed so easily. Instead of saying, Daddy, come back in 20 minutes at 12:15, all she had to say was, Daddy, come back in 1 hour. And I'll have this fucker.
Yeah.
Once again, a small word in a script, that's 3 times now, that would have made the world of difference ultimately.
Don't you love how nobody gives a shit about what she says in this movie? Like, nobody, twice she asked Glenn to stay awake and help her, and he's a dumbass. Then she asked her dad to save her, and he's just like, okay, baby, just get some sleep. Like, hey, wink, wink, I'm not going to do what you say. And then he tells the cop, he's like, look, if anything weird happens, come get me. And then she's screaming for her father. Go get my dad, you asshole. I mean, and then finally he goes, maybe I should tell the lieutenant about this. You fucking think?
At first he just looks up at her and the guy goes, hey, she looks pretty excited. He goes, she's fine.
And he's like, no, it's going to be all right, he tells her. And then she goes through all this rigmarole. Freddy's chasing her around her fucking house. Then she goes back to the other window again, yells again, the guy's still there. Ah! Maybe I better tell the lieutenant.
Now, what happens? So, I don't really like this ending. What do you think about it?
It kind of frustrates me because usually it doesn't bother me that much, but when I was watching it for this, I was trying really hard to make it make sense, which I realized you just can't do because, she goes to sleep.
She walks around into the boiler room.
She's walking around she finds the headphones, Glenn's headphones in the boiler room.
Was his name on them?
Yes.
I guess that was so we would know whose they were, or she would know whose they were. Like, you wouldn't know anyway, but whatever. And this is the part where I can't. It's so bizarre to me because I can't always distinguish dream from reality. Because after she pulls him back, she does all the boobies. She traps him. Oh yeah, she pulls him back in. She traps him upstairs in the bedroom because she's got that. She rigs the door with the hammer.
Sledgehammer.
To fall. Perfect. Then she runs downstairs and she's trying to get. She breaks the window and she's screaming for the guy to get her dad, and he takes forever to finally decide to do it. Then Freddy breaks out from upstairs, gets hit in the stomach with the sledgehammer, runs down the stairs. She hits this light switch thing and blows him up, and then.
No, you guys laugh about that, but it worked on Daniel Stern.
Yes. Then she ends up throwing him in the basement and lighting him on fire. Oh, which is an
the fire's real life, though.
That fire is an amazing fire scene because this guy is on fire. He runs up the stairs chasing her back out of the basement. Then he falls down the stairs and then he starts to climb back up. All the time on fire.
Do you know that was filmed at one time?
It looks amazing.
It is amazing. And the guy won an award that year for the greatest fire stunt.
He should have.
Yeah.
So then she finally gets her dad's attention and they come breaking in only by the time, and she's got him trapped in the basement. By the time they actually come in, the cops get there and she takes him to the basement. Freddy has already broken out of the basement and you see the fiery footprints running through the house. Yeah. She follows those upstairs, and that's where she sees him on top of the bed. I mean, on top of her mother in the bed.
He's fucking her.
And then her dad runs in.
Firecock.
Throws a blanket over the whole thing. and then they sink into the bed. And that's when I'm like, okay, so she went to sleep. That part we know is a dream. The marshmallow stairs we know is a dream. She pulls him out of the dream into real world, and we see all the booby trap stuff happen. Then she chases him. She follows him upstairs where he's on the bed with her mother, which is still real world. So it makes no sense at all, like I said earlier, that you should be able to see her mother sink into the bed. Like, she and her father, who are both wide awake, are standing there watching her mother sink into this misty bed elevator. And then she jumps on the bed, and the bed is solid. You know, when she's like, mother, mother, like, she jumps on the bed to go after her, and the bed is suddenly a bed again. That makes no sense at all. No sense. Right.
It's the transition from the real world
because
to the dream.
it was all a dream. That is why.
The whole movie
then
was
she
a
tells
dream.
him, she starts to leave the room. Freddie comes back, and she's like, I know you're there, Freddie, but I take back all the power I gave you, which I think is honestly a cop-out. And it's like, if it was that easy the entire time, why did we just go through all this bullshit? You know, if all you had to do was say, I take back all the power I give you, you're nothing, Freddie, and then walk out the door.
Wait, you mean these red slippers? I would have been home in 2 minutes?
Right. You know, I think it was, that was just here's a way to end the movie.
It was a little mushy, little Pollyanna-ish. Fucking love conquers all. Not love, but you know what I mean. It was me the whole time. We gave you the power. I'm taking it away. That was a little bit cheesy. But
I think so.
It's a moot point, because in the end, none of that shit really happened and Freddie wins. That's what's fucking great about it. And that's why you can explain the mother going into the bed. The same shit. None of that actually really happened. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe when she went to sleep after Glenn was killed, she never actually did wake up. And I'll tell you, it was great when Freddie rose out of the bed after that shit happened. When you just see him coming up from them, and he's in that elastic shit, and he raises up real high. That part was fucking badass.
I still hide my face at that to this day.
Oh, that's awesome. But
I think that actually the way it went down production-wise is that whole mother through the window part, that was just tacked on at the end. Like, it was never intended to end like that.
Yeah, he wanted a happy ending.
However, I like what you just said, Dave. And I will, from now on, I will just pretend like none of that happened. It was all part of her dream. And in the end, she still hasn't woken up.
Well, check it out. Yo,
I like that.
It was a dream, and I'll tell you why. Because as soon as she said, you're nothing, you're shit, and Freddie disappears, right? And when he's about to kill her, I beat you, she opens up the door to the bedroom, where on the other side there's going to be fire and cops and mayhem and all that shit, and she steps out on her front porch, and it's the next morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just assumed that was for our benefit, like it was just a cut scene.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, as soon as and then her mother just happens to say, oh, I feel good, I'm not going to drink anymore. And
I just don't feel like it anymore.
Wraps up, that's true. Why to me, and then they pull up, and now check it out. You're going to tell me just because of this that all of a sudden Johnny Depp and Tina and Rod are all alive again? Why would that happen? Just because she beat Freddie at the end, they would all still be dead. That's why that's what I'm saying. She's still dreaming. And then obviously when Freddie's thing, the convertible thing comes up, and then she, the windows go up and she's banging on the window and her mother's just smiling and waving. That would happen in a fucking nightmare because no mother's not going to realize what's going on. So then that happens. Then you see the amazing fucking part with the mother gets pulled through the window and the 1, 2.
Amazing part. Dave, he pulled a fucking mannequin through a window.
Yeah, but it's an amazing fucking... I love it. I think it's...
That was terrible.
It's a great way to end the movie.
It scares the shit out of me.
They even admit it's terrible.
Yeah, they admitted it.
Conceptually, it's fucking an incredible...
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, it didn't look fucking great. No, it's rubbery and whatever. But nobody expected it to happen. You wouldn't see that coming because it's so fucking out of this world. But once again... It is a dream. The entire
that part I knew was a dream. It's just that the part that with her father and the bed and her mother, like when the cops bust in and then they all go upstairs and all of that, or all of the booby trap stuff. It's
that was real.
That I always took to be reality. But I kind of like thinking now that she thought she was kicking his ass. But it turns out that she was actually dreaming that she was kicking his ass. I kind of like that. That's even better.
Well, see? you know what else I'm thinking too now. This might be me being kind of off base, but when he breaks out of the basement and goes upstairs, and they just see the fiery flip, how would she not know? You can't sneak past her and go upstairs on fire like that unnoticed. There's no way in hell.
No, that's true.
No way in hell.
Wow.
Right, but listen, in part 2, they even said, it's one of the first things they said. They said it more than once. The girl went crazy after she saw her boyfriend get killed across the street. So she ends up in a fucking institution. That's the way they took it in the last movie. She didn't beat anybody. Her mother's fucking dead or whatever. That's end of the movie. I just think she went to bed to set the alarm after the booby trap shit and never woke up. And then she had this whole dream.
Right.
Because how else
She
can you
wakes
explain
up
the
when
ending?
the credits roll. That's what happened.
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to have to buy that. I'm going to say that the bridge between the kooky ending and her going to sleep and grabbing him, I guess, that bridge of him being in the real world never happened. She intended to do that, so she just dreamed that she did. It's that simple.
Yeah,
And,
I like that. I like it a lot. And even if it wasn't intended to be that way, I think it should have been. So we win.
Yeah, but we can make it that way. Just like we can make believe Paul lived at the end of Friday too, because he sure can.
There's nothing telling us he didn't.
Right. She's calling for him. He might be talking to the cops or whatever, you know? Like
It's just like John Shepard pulling his daughter fucking in. And it wasn't Jason, which was your explanation at the end of part 7.
I mean, that wasn't the dad pulling Jason down under. That was just more her telepathy, but she saw it that way. Right.
Mm-hmm. Dig it.
Because she's a fucking nut. She's in a fucking mental institution.
See what we do on this show?
Mm-hmm. We make it all make sense.
This is Mr. Skin from MrSkin.com with all the skinfo from the latest movies. Opening in theaters, Alexandra Daddario stars alongside The Rock in San Andreas. It's not her fault she's not nude here, so check her out on True Detective. Alexandra's jaw-dropping full frontal won her an Anatomy Award, and that'll make you harder than The Rock.
This is the Mr. Skin Minute.
Nude on Blu-ray, it's the second season of Showtime's Ray Donovan. Ray really cleans up this season, enjoying topless time with Paula Malcolmson and bearing witness to Vanessa Shaw's best nudity yet. Ray Donovan, more like Spray Donovan. Nude on HBO, 19-year-old Rosabelle Lorente Sellers makes her nude debut on Game of Thrones. She's playing one of the Sand Snakes of Dorne, but it's more like the Sand Snakes of porn when she drops her top to taunt Bronn. Rosabelle will make your hose a swell.
MrSkin.com.
Fast forwarding
to the good parts.
All right, so it's rating time. The classic, the iconic, A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. He was the last of the big four franchises to come around, but he made his mark. Freddy, or Fred Krueger. We like him more as Fred, because we like the serious stuff. So, I don't think anybody here likes Benny Youngman, or whatever the fuck he became.
He does become Freddy, though. Later on, he does announce himself as Freddy. Save me from Freddy. That
Freddy's back. Dave Z, how do you rate this? 1 out of 5. Out of 5 stars, how do you rate this?
All right, I love this fucking movie. I think it's an epic movie. I love everything about it. Sure, there's some flaws, but there's some flaws in Halloween and Friday the 13th too. But I love them just as much, and I love this fucking movie. This is an American classic, and I give it 5 stars.
All right. Jamie D.
I do really enjoy this film a lot, and I appreciate it for what it is and what it led to. And it definitely deserves its place as an icon within horror. However, the first film in this series is not my favorite. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay. Michael J.
It has Johnny Depp being sucked into a bed saying Selma, or at least it sounds like Selma. Maybe it's Thelma, I don't know, whatever.
What?
When he gets sucked into the bed, he's like, Thelma! Thelma! And it made me think of that Martin Luther King movie that just came out a little while ago.
Oh, I was thinking of the girl from fucking Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah,
That's
would work.
Velma.
Whatever.
Ah.
Oh, myself.
They all rhyme or sound the same or whatever. It's the first horror movie I ever saw, so it kind of like brought me into the world. I was like 5, so, but ever since then I always loved it, so I got to give it a 5 out of 5 too.
This movie I did not ever really like. Part 2 was always the best one to me. This one was just a great start, and it did give us all the iconic stuff, the imagery, the music, great scenes, the iconic scenes. The acting was always terrible. That didn't change. However, and I always thought the whole thing looked very cheap, like a cheap production. But this time around, that stuff didn't really occur to me. I don't know. I'm not really sure why. And I was more into the movie this time around as well. So I give this a 4 out of 5. So we got 2 4 out of 5s and 2 5 out of 5s. So there you go, guys. That was Nightmare on Elm Street. I hate leaving out the A because I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I always try to make sure to put it in there.
So there you go. So we will be back next week with the follow-up, the controversial, the black sheep of A Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. You just saw him get dicked around and this and that. See, he really shouldn't actually be going for revenge if you think about it the way we did, because he won in every sense. There's nothing to have revenge about, but whatever. I don't really know. It works anyway, so there you go.
See you next week as the Skeleton Crew's A Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective continues. Same bedtime, same dead channel.